Tonight, the plan is to talk about doing a week-long expedition, partly because we've got 2 expeditions going up to the San Juans. We've got a Quest LV. How long is it?
17.7.
Yeah, so 17 and a half feet. And just looking at the boat, it's different than my boat, which is a slightly shorter boat, a little more robust, shall we say, since it's not a low volume, and it's laid out a little differently where the space is. So we'll see as we're packing this, some of the stuff that I would normally put one place, we will have to find another place for it. But when you're packing the boat, you want to be thinking of a few things, okay? So when you're on a trip, you eat, you sleep, and you do all those personal little things, okay? So what you want to do is you want to think about, when you're packing the boat, where are you going to put that stuff? How are you going to be able to get it out? And how important is it for you to be able to get it out right now? Okay, so we could, yeah. Let's go ahead and do the thing.
And they're good for your skin. So when you use them, you actually feel refreshed. So because you're not going to have showers or water to wash with. There are no showers.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Not on our trip.
Expedition camping.
It's expedition camping. So you use these in a towel, and you do. You feel really good. These are called no rinse bathing wipes. They use them in the hospitals for.
Okay, what is the liquid?
Oh, it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
And you can just put it on with a towel and dry it. But you don't have to rinse it, dry it. Yeah, there are no showers.
Now we find more showers.
We got one more.
What'd you do with the rain jacket? Really good guidance. Oh, there was. When you get to camp, the Northwest has a lot of rain, so it could be raining when you're setting up camp, and you might want to have take off your dry suit and get comfortable, and you want to have your rain gear handy. Rain pants and a rain jacket are always good to have. First aid, you want that where you can get to it. These are my toiletry things, so if you have to stop somewhere along the way and use the body, I've got those handy. It's great because day hatches are so big. These go on the bottom. This is handy, so in case you need to cut up some wood or put the tent poles in.
Oh, that's a saw.
That's a little saw.
Are we allowed to have
Well,
Some places you can. Some have fire pits for you.
yeah.
Some, yeah.
So most places you're only supposed to use driftwood. It depends on where you are, but I always carry a little saw like that because sometimes, you know, there's that little branch that's sticking out right where you want to put your tent.
Even
So
driftwood can be big
a
sometimes.
little bit of landscaping service. You know, you don't have to charge them for it. You can do it for free. But I like to have the potential of doing that, especially if there are a lot of blackberry.
But why does it go in the day hatch?
Because it's
everything
quick
else
and
is
easy
gonna
to
be
get
packed
to, and
in.
if I want to start a fire right away,
Okay,
I know where to get
So
it.
it's one of the first things out.
I leave it down in the bottom because both of the things are real flat, so they fit flat on the round part of the thing, and I can put stuff on top of it without breaking it.
Yeah. Your boat repair kit, just in case. Don't want to be out there in the middle of nowhere and have a hole in
Consists
your
of
boat.
duct tape and what else?
Duct tape, It has patches, it has all kinds of stuff. There are patches for your dry suit, patches for your boat, duct tape,
Start my list of
Uh,
things to get.
glue, patch for your tent. I mean, your tent could get on your sleeping pad. You know, it's no fun to be out there for 7 nights and have a hole in your sleeping pad the first night. So you want to be prepared.
Do you ever bring one of those, the neck gasket, or you just hope it's not?
No, I use, if something happened, I mean, go with your neck gasket changed if you think it's getting old, because it won't rip just by itself. But if it is old and it starts to rip, there's no help for it. And so you'll just be duct taping yourself into it every day. Did that once, never do that again. Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell us about that sometime.
Yeah. Towels, there's a big towel and a hand washing towel in here. Sunscreen where you can get to it. Usually I put the sunscreen in the deck bag. The deck bag goes on top with sunscreen, power bars, whatever you like to snack on in here, extra water bottle. We put a hydration bag underneath it with everybody has a different way of carrying their hydration bags, but we put it under here with the tube coming out so that we can just drink.
What kind of bag?
Hydration, like a
Camel bag.
back type bag, you just lay it flat right under that. Cell phone, emergency blinking light.
Is there much
Fire
reception
starter.
on the outside islands?
You want to have that handy with your other
Maybe
fire
some
stuff, so if
spotting.
you need to start a fire, you got it. Pee bottle, in case you have to, on the go.
Well, so in my boat, I've got room for that in the cockpit.
Mine actually goes behind my seat. I just clip it in behind the seat, along with my funnel. Goes behind the seat. Radio usually goes in the PFD, or if you can put it in the day hatch. We usually talk about what channel we're gonna be on. And then also binoculars, because sometimes you're far away from the shore and you can't tell exactly where you need to land. So, but you know, as a group doing the San Juans, you don't all have to have binoculars. You know, someone in the group needs binoculars, so you know where you need to be in case it's foggy too. It's landing point. I mean, we know all the landing points now, pretty much, because we've done them so many times. But you know, as we were going down the inside passage, there were times when we could tell, you know, can we land here or not? And so having the binoculars really helped. Spot in your GPS. The spot I always attach to my PFD also. Jeff usually puts the GPS on the boat.
Terry, what was that you said?
A spot is a personal locating beacon.
Is that something that you want for all of us to have?
Oh, no,
No.
they're
One person has it.
expensive.
You really don't need it out there. There are enough boats and people to flag down. But if, you know, if something really happened and you wanted, we have the program, especially doing the inside passage, where you push the button and you were in need, they'd send a helicopter for you, and it's covered under the insurance, so.
Yeah, so for a long expedition, if you're going out with yourself, I would never go out without some sort of a personal locator beacon. If you're going out like Terry and I did for a long period of time, it's just, you know, it's just good insurance. But when we're going out in a group of 10, 12 people, and we've got radios and cell phones and all that kind of stuff, particularly around the San Juans where you can generally get help pretty quickly, which is a relative term. you know, if we've got one of those as a group, that's plenty.
Don't the newer VHF radios have that built in?
The expensive ones, but
I
I never buy them.
Probably. I haven't bought a new radio in 3 or 4 years, or 3 years.
Well, no, we have, but the
Yeah, the newer
only
ones
they-
send out a
like the
signal right to
200
the
and up
Coast Guard
ones.
with your lunge and lat built
Yeah.
right into
yeah,
it.
you can buy them that do,
Yeah.
yes.
So there's always, nowadays, there's always gonna be more devices that have multiple capabilities, yeah. So, I mean, I use Sports Tracker on my phone, and that works better than my old GPS. So the only thing I use my GPS for anymore is speed and distance. It never had maps and all that stuff, so it was kind of a useless GPS except for speed and distance.
Jeff, did you just say you had a radio that lasted 3 whole years?
2.
Two.
Two.
But yeah, so radios don't last forever. And like Terry was saying, we talk about what channel we're gonna be on if we need them, but for the most part, we leave them tucked away somewhere where they're dry, somewhere where they're not gonna get wet, and leave them turned off unless somebody's separated or you've got groups separating. There's no point in having radios on all the time. So
Don't
is that
forget
it?
your camera. I usually put it in my PFD, but you can put it in your deck bag or wherever is handy for you. I always bring my Kindle and a Kindle Light, extra battery for the camera, and extra chip if your chip isn't big enough, and I put them in a electronics bag, and I put it in the day hatch so I can keep track of it. When we did the inside passage, we put our passports and stuff in the electronics bag. So it was all together, our money, our passports, and our electronics. So if we stop somewhere, we just take it out, yeah, with us. And then a nice little carry bag. So you can take everything from your day hatch, put it in there, and lug it to your campsite. Because it's a lot of little stuff to carry without something to take it with you. And so the day hatch is packed.
So, and then if you saw this now, there's plenty of room to throw your lunch on top of all that.
Yeah, and that's what we do. The lunch should be on the very top. So actually
There's a
more
lot of
room.
room.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of room in there.
So, one of the things when I'm buying a new boat, I always look at the size of the day hatch because I really want to be able to get a lot of stuff that I can get to relatively quickly in there. I'd rather have the room in the day hatch than room behind the seat, which is, you know, less valuable because you like everything tucked away. So how do you charge your cell phone? Waterproof, rechargeable. This is a solar battery. Plug it into your cell phone. So this just
Lisa, why are you shaking your head?
Because I've never seen such a thing.
Really?
so
REI.
Boy,
my
well, just a USB deal.
bungee stuff is a little
Yeah,
different.
here, she could put it here.
But
She had one.
since this is waterproof, this just sits on the deck and charges all day while we're
So when you get to camp, you can charge your
So that's got a battery.
batteries.
Good spot.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell from
There's
the
a-
kayak in the room?
Not every day, but I don't think.
I'll pack this one, and you can pack that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
What are those puppies running?
150 now, I think, something like that. So, you know, you may not want it for a week-long trip because you're really not going to be on the phone and you're not going to be doing stuff a lot. But
If you
we
use
were
it for
we were
sports
gone a
tracker,
month,
though, you know,
and
you might charge it.
we wanted to be able to recharge cameras and recharge stuff, and so for a
I
longer.
charged my camera and my Kindle with it.
Is that another little thing that maybe you could share with your partner up or something?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. A lot of these things you can,
Yeah.
I mean, we do. We don't, You know, we have to have 2 sleeping bags, obviously, 2 sleeping pads, but the tent, we divide it up between us. And that's why you have it all packaged separately. So here are the tent poles, and the tent fly and the tent tarp are all in separate bags down there. And when we go together, we just, you know, divvy it up. So anybody that knows me knows that a collapsible hula hoop goes with me wherever I go. That's the thing.
Well, we gotta have a hook.
It's a must. When we were out for a month and we got to islands, you know, you'd think, well, I'll just go hiking on an island or, you know, jogging around that. There's places where you can't even get through the brush. There's only your camp spot, you know, and so you have to have something to do, you know.
That was in the Inland
But
Passage.
see, and we haven't done this before, and thanks to Ken. But what shape is a hula hoop?
Usually circular.
Circular. So if you were to take a tarp and put it around the circular part and hang it from the tree and hang your sun shower in the center of that, you would have a relatively private shower.
Or in the not in the San Juans, but in the Inside Passage where we stop sometimes, there was nobody.
Yeah.
You know.
Nobody's watching.
Is
Privacy,
overrated.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so
you take the small. Say it.
go ahead.
You take the small, thin stuff, and you use your bow, stern.
So you've got the skag here. So you can only put narrow stuff
So
in
you
here.
put one thing on each side, but you can
Yeah.
shove it way up there with the string down so that when you go to pull it out, you can reach it. Especially for short arms.
Now, your poles weren't in a waterproof, were they?
No.
Okay, no.
You want-
They don't need to be.
You want to move your charger before it drops and breaks?
Yes.
It won't.
It's
Very
probably already,
conscious.
Breakthrough too.
it's already been falling on.
So I have on my list clothes, and I separate them between camp clothes and paddling clothes. And in here are 2 pairs of pants, changing under your dry suit, and 2 shirts. In here, your camp clothes are a pair of shorts, a pair of camp pants, 2 t-shirts, socks, and underwear.
You know,
And-
long formal sequin dress.
Because
so
you want to stop for dinner.
The one thing that you are most likely to overdo and overpack is clothes, okay? Everybody's gonna stink at the end of the week, okay? It's like, if you plan on packing a change of clothes for every day, then go out and buy a tandem and paddle it solo and you'll have enough room. But clothing takes up so much volume in the boat that it's one of those things that you really have to be conservative on, and it's one of the reasons why it's really nice to get real good compression bags to put the clothing in.
Yeah, I think you put the bags underneath, but yeah, you don't want the seal line bags. You want compression bags, things that actually compress like this or this, where you can squeeze all the air out of it. Because if you were to put this in a seal line bag, it'd be twice as big.
Would those have special little things for the air to come out, or oh, it does? Okay.
This one does.
No, it
This
hasn't
one just
been.
compresses it all.
Yeah.
So I got $300 worth of seal line bags.
So I think Ken is going to
Do a
put
tandem,
in
but-
a equipment swap here soon.
No, I'm gonna use a lot of Velcro straps.
So, where we're going, there are raccoons, and those raccoons are beasts. This bag went through a war with the raccoons. They never got the food. You can see the little marks in it where they're little.
They're very flexible, and you've got this weird shape up here which isn't much good for anything other than flexible stuff. So sometimes, and this one is, I didn't roll this up so it was a long, skinny tube, but I'll usually roll it up so it's long and skinny, and then I'll take it and I'll just shove it up there, okay? And I'll just shove it up as far as I can get. But one of the things that you need to do with your boat is you need to look at how these fittings are attached. Okay? It's really nice when these fittings are attached so that there's absolutely no screws sticking down. There are a number of boat manufacturers that could care less about that, and they'll leave a little bit of the end of the screw. So you take your tent and you shove it up there, and then you yank it out and you will rip it. Okay? Or you shove a dry bag in there and you'll rip it. Okay? I've got 2 or 3 ripped dry bags that I'd be happy to sell you. I'll take them. So it's something that you need to take a look at. I've got an old current design, and the day hatch was bolted in, and all the screws stuck out, and I tore stuff up because on our long trip we needed every square inch filled up. So
Jeff, was your tent, did it have to fly over in there too?
No,
You separated.
yeah, I separate everything so that I can shove it wherever it needs to go. And this is actually easier. This is a smaller one, so I shove the smaller up there, then shove the tent.
And those are not in dry bags, right?
No, they're not in dry bags because they're going to get wet anyway.
Yeah.
The minute you put it up and it rains, so it's not that big a deal.
And they're not going to get wet in your boat.
Yeah, not
The only
likely.
thing you really want to worry about is your sleeping bag. Keep it in a sleeping bag.
And then I shove the tarp in here. So I know when I'm landing, and if it's starting to rain, I've got the tarp, I've got the tent, all that stuff is in the bow of the boat. Where do you land on the shore? You land with the bow up. You know that the first thing you're going to be able to get to is all right in the front here.
The tent poles are in the back.
Tent poles are in the back. So that's a irritating little thing, but
usually
you can't.
The tent poles are in the bow of mine, and the tent's in the bow
So
of
it
his.
depends on how it
That's
works.
the same time.
Can I ask about that tent tarp situation? Everything's got to be handy, but the tarp, what do you do with the tarp? Is it over your tent when you're in the Seattle area where it rains all the time?
Yeah,
Do you use it for a cooking area?
Well, yeah, I put it over the tent, and I try and put it over the tent so that I could cook underneath it in front of the tent if we had to do that.
What was the question?
The question was,
So the question is,
where's the tarp go?
And we put the tarp over the tent.
Talking about the rain fly? Or
Yeah,
about
no.
the bottom of the ground cover.
No,
No.
not the ground cover.
A
It's
tarp,
green tarp.
a separate tarp
Separate tarp
over the
for
tent,
Oh,
keep things dry.
It's so
In
wet.
addition to the rain fly?
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's
That's
a
another
footprint.
REI
Yeah, and a footprint.
item.
And we have a footprint, yes.
Yeah,
Now understand, if you haven't been in the Northwest, it rains, it drizzles, the trees drip,
This is
everything
not
is
feasible.
soggy wet. So you want to get one tarp set up, then set up your camp under it.
yeah.
So what do you use for, do you use your stakes for the tent, or for the tarp?
I'll tie them off the trees. I carry at least 2 poles for the tarp.
We had a contest last time of who could make the best tarp setup using paddles.
I was gonna say, can you use your paddles?
Yeah, you can use paddles. You
That
can
was
use.
fun.
I mean, so there's, you can use whatever, but it is nice to have a tarp over the tent. It's nice to be able to put stuff in, take it from the boat and put it into the tent, and it's dry. Dry is Dry is nice.
Especially if you're trying to set your tent up in the rain.
Right.
The inside gets
Right.
wet before you get in.
So, the first thing that goes up is the tarp, and then you figure out. Now, if it's a nice sunny day and it's not a problem, then it's no big deal. But if you end up landing in the rain and you're going to put your stuff together right away, putting a tarp up is good.
What was the big bag you just put? Was that the same bag?
So
You
yeah.
Stuck it in.
All right. So y'all are looking at stuff. You know, want to spend your tax refund money. Okay. So there are two things that are absolutely worth spending money on. One is a nice 20-degree or better bag that is down, not synthetic, because it will compress more than a synthetic
There is a
bag.
sleeping bag, a sleeping liner, and a blow-up pillow all in that bag.
Okay, so that goes in there. And then the other thing, these things are getting relatively expensive. These X-Ped ultralight sleeping pads. This is 2.5 inches thick, 25 inches wide, 72 inches long. It is huge.
What's
And
it
it
called?
compresses down to that
It's
size.
an X-Ped, E-X-P-E-D. And the reason that we ended up buying it was it is a half the size of the one that we had before. And it's great.
And it's more comfortable.
Yeah, it's more comfortable, it's easier to inflate, and it doesn't take any room in the boat.
Do you guys bring the snorkel?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
The clothing
the
go in the snozzle bag.
the clothing bag
Is
is
also a
the
snozzle bag.
snozzle and the pump for that.
What's a snozzle bag?
Okay. Well, we'll have to
Later.
show you.
Okay. Pots and pans, you're gonna cook.
All my utensils, pots and pans, everything, we go through the jet oil.
So I take this, and as long as the pan is smaller than the diameter up here, I just use this as the shove it up.
Have a jet oil frying pan?
Yeah, there's a little jet oil frying pan, there's collapsible bowls.
Wash your dishes, collapsible. And then as you're shoving this stuff in, always look for the top, because there's usually room up here to put little stuff like this. And then another big bag to carry stuff.
Yeah, it's important to have bags to carry all this stuff because it takes a long time to go back and forth to your boat if you don't have something to carry the stuff in.
What's the name of that net gear bag you just had? What was your bag? Tie or something?
This is
They got an REI too.
Kayak Academy.
Yeah,
You
you
can-
can order
you
them
can-
online from Kayak Academy.
Yeah, and every scuba diving shop has something similar to
Shops
this.
up too, yeah. Watch some of the dive shops though, because the plastic is so thick, the diving gear, so they're so thick they're hard to collapse, yeah.
Walmart has something similar for about $3 or $4, mesh bag.
And REI has a nice fish bag too.
Okay, and then this is a little portable chair. So it doesn't, I don't know, I'd have to redo this to shove it in up here. I'd probably, with my boat, I've got room right between the side of the seat and the boat. So it fits in there. I put it in the cockpit. Yeah, it fits in there easily.
Terri, is all your food in your raccoon bag?
I have the raccoon bag and then I'll have a lunch bag.
That's it for the whole trip? You each have a bag like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use dehydrated food. We're not real picky about food. Okay, so this boat, even though it is a low volume boat, has way more room in it than it needs to do a week-long trip. So you're good to go with this.
Do you both use a deck bag?
I'm sorry?
Do you both use a deck bag?
Yeah, we both use a deck bag because we've got stuff we want to get to quick and easily. But the only thing that goes on the back is this, because it's flat. So if you were going to do a rescue on the back, and I always have this clipped to something so I don't lose it, and I have it back as far as possible. But I don't put anything on the back deck. And really limit the stuff on the front. So we've got spare paddles on the front, and we've got the deck bag, and we've got water. So everything extra that we've got goes on the front.
A question about the tarp. Is a 10 by 10 adequate, or 10 by 12, or 8 by 8? What do you think?
Well,
Big enough?
so that's answered by how big your tent is. So you want to have, I want to be able to cover my tent and have enough room to cook. If I'm sitting at like the front of my tent, I could be kind of in the tent and have the cook stuff out. So, you know, maybe that's going to be 8 by 12, something like that. I don't know. I never seem to take the same one twice. So that's sort of like an extra thing that's nice to have. So given the fact that there is a ton of room right up here, I would take the biggest one that I could fit. Okay. The biggest tarp.
Is it a regular tarp? Or is it like a soft one?
It's a nylon one. You want a nylon one, but if all you've got is the ugly blue plastic tarps, just put it in first, and then put everything else on top of it. So, but you know how big you're going to get really depends on the size of your tent and how much space you've got to do that. And then when you've got extra room, then you say, okay, now I can take this or that or the other thing. You know, whatever it is you want to carry. You want to carry extra clothing, okay, you got space for it, that's fine. Okay. On most trips that you go on, it's pack it in and pack it out. So you're going to be packing your trash out. So you want to have everything that all your food, you want it in foil wrappers or something that's going to compress. You don't want bottles of things. You don't want you don't want cans. Although you could stomp a can down. Boxes. Cardboard boxes aren't so bad because you can burn them if you can have a fire. But cardboard flattens down pretty good. But
the bear bags come with these plastic liners, and I actually order them with the bear bag. But you can also use those extra plastic liner to put all your garbage in. It seals up. It's supposed to be odor-free, so that garments don't smell it. So.
Now, do you have to pack out your?
No.
There's compost toilets or porta potties everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. So none of it's so sensitive in there yet.
What do you use for alarm clock?
Watch.
Your watch.
I can't hear my watch, so I'll have to get some big.
I hear it.
Yeah,
Watch
I gotta
be up
wake you up. Somebody will wake you up.
Yeah. So here's the thing on an expedition like this, especially when you're going with other people. Okay. There will be an on the water time every day, and it's predicated not on when someone wants to torture you and make you get up early, but it's because if we don't get on the water within a few minutes of that on the water time, the current could change 3 hours later, and you'll be paddling into a current that you didn't want to be paddling into instead of going with the tide. So all of the trips that we plan, we plan it so we're with the tide as long as possible, but there's one particular day going from Sucia to Jones that if you don't leave on time and get there, the current goes from 1.5 miles with you to 1.5 miles against you in 10 minutes. So you're going to take a 3-mile-an-hour difference at the end of the day, when you are probably the least desirous of running into a tide. So when I say that you got to be up at, up and on the water at 8 o'clock, that's what it has to be. So what I really suggest is you pack your boat, and then you pack your boat, and then you pack your boat. You should know exactly where everything is. You know where the tent pegs or tent poles are. You know where the tent is. You know where the cooking stuff is. You know where the food is. You can get to all that stuff quickly, and you know that when you start packing this stuff up in the morning, you know you're bringing all the stuff down to the beach. You just start throwing this stuff where it's gonna go. Okay, so that you can pack quickly and efficiently, and that's the key to having a halfway decent time. Because the worst part of an expedition is landing and unpacking and packing and launching. It's the worst part of the day. It takes the most energy. It takes more energy than paddling to be carrying all this stuff down to the boats, moving the boat, getting it to the water, slippery rocks, through the water. This one we could do okay with.
There's water mains. Have you ever no water?
Oh yeah, no water in it. So guess what goes in last if you can? The water. What comes out first? The water. Okay?
It comes out when you land?
When I land, I'll reach behind my seat, I'll grab the water bag and get it out of the boat, and then it's easier to move it. Okay?
Some places you have very low tide, you'll have to pick your boat up.
Say it again, please.
Some places you land will be low tide, so you're going to have to carry that boat.
Remember I asked you once about that at San Juan. You said that one.
Well, it's not like the inside passage, but there are still places where you do have to put your boat up.
You have to drag.
We don't drag it. We usually.
Do you have no choice then but to drag the boat? You mean?
No, no.
You're not going to be able to
Empty it
unpack
and
it
then
in the mud?
Well, so that's the problem. You may be unpacking it in the mud, but if you've got to take 3 trips, that makes for a harder time packing and unpacking the boat. But we landed at Sucia last year, and we ended up moving the boats like 4 times. We didn't carry them. But as the tide came in, we moved it up some more, and as the tide came in, we moved it up some more. We weren't going to carry a fully loaded boat. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, we just kept unloading
That's
the
too much
boat as
work.
the tide was coming in, just pulling it up further up.
And you're more likely to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Do you tie it off the boat sometimes? You grab
Yeah.
like a horse, you tie it off.
We did it in some of the places.
So it just... but that, when you're launching in the morning, you're going to have the boat down. I'll take the boat down, and I'll get it so that the water is right about here, so that I'm loading this up, assuming that the tide's coming in. Okay, if the tide's going out, I'll get it so it's here. I'll load the back, and then as the tide's going, I'll move up. So you always want to keep it so that any carrying of the boat is the shortest distance possible. And don't be one of these dummies that says, oh, I'll just do it myself, and you drag the boat. I mean, if you've got a plastic boat and you don't care, fine. But you're just putting everything at risk if you try and do it by yourself.
There's so many people in this trip to help. You know,
So,
we all help each
let
other.
me get that, you're saying 2 people will carry a loaded boat in
No.
one of these?
Well, it depends on how much stuff you've got in it.
But that might happen.
Yes,
All right.
but I wouldn't carry a loaded boat that had, I would leave the water last. I mean, if this were filled with water, you don't want to carry that. And that's why I always do the water last, either here or up here. Okay.
The
So,
thing is, seriously, I got such a bad ankle. I can't be doing moss and mud and everything.
so you have to be efficient when you're launching and landing. You got to get the boat where it's going to go, and you have to load quickly
Before the tide gets.
before the tide starts
Yeah.
moving, because it'll.
Changes quick then, huh?
Yeah, and so the worst day is going from Sucia to Jones. We are going to go on an ebb tide, and it's going to be early in the morning, so you're going to have to get up early, be organized, get the boat loaded, and be ready to go.
You know what? It's too complicated. I'm going skydiving.
So that's why that's why you want to practice doing this, so you know where stuff goes, so that you are, and you do this all. You'll pack it according to the list that Terry gave you, and you'll say, this doesn't work for my boat, and you'll change the stuff around, and you'll say, you know, you'll come up with your own list. And if you pack it and unpack it a few times, you'll be more confident doing that. And if you set up your tent and take it down and get used to how much time it takes you to do that, you'll know it takes you 1 hour and 45 minutes to get on the water. Okay, it takes you 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's, you have to just.
It's taking 3 minutes. How long does it take?
It takes an hour if you don't cook breakfast.
Well, you jet oil.
No, it takes it. We hardly ever went from wake up to packing, loading, and being on the water in less than an hour. Could hardly ever do that. We might have beat that one time when we really wanted to get an early start. But it takes an hour. I mean, you gotta pack the tent, you gotta take the tarp down, you gotta pack your sleeping bag, you gotta fold up your air mattress. You got all these little things that you got to do. It takes time.
And if you know you're slow, you get up earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Basically,
Yeah.
if you know you're going to take longer, like me, I'll be up an hour earlier than you probably.
Yeah. Well, and so you'll be up when Sean gets up because he's got to do his coffee. So you know there are a number of people that do get up earlier and get moving and get their stuff going, and I get to sleep because I don't care about coffee.
He's always up early.
Okay.
Do you take charts or just use your GPS?
I have a chart on my deck.
We've got charts on our deck.
Okay.
We don't. I don't care about a GPS up there.
On top of the deck bag then?
It slides under it.
Yeah, it slides in. Yeah. So we got a lot of stuff here because you got the water bag, you got the chart. Usually she's got the chart.
Yeah, we kind of split up some of the things, but not everybody needs a chart. You're going to be together.
Yeah.
So, and then this is one of the things is you're looking at who's on the trip. You say, you know, do we need 2 jet oils? No. You know, do we need 2 tents? Yes, no. You know, does someone have a three-person tent? That would be big enough for 2 people. So if you're compatible and don't snore, you might want to, you might want to share that if you're running out of room. I mean, some boats don't have as much volume as this, but there's no way of telling until you start packing this stuff, and it's a real interesting situation when you're getting ready to launch and someone has got this sleeping bag that's about like this, and you're trying to cram that sleeping bag into the boat because they've never bothered to pack the boat first. okay? And that happened last year. And we finally figured out how to get enough people to jump on it so that it would, so that it would compress, and we got it in. But you know, we took an extra 20 minutes to get all packed up and going. The good thing is by the end of the trip, you have all this stuff figured out.
He's ready to do it again.
So Jeff,
I haven't packed a boat. If it's a nasty beach, you know, with rocks and pebbles and
I try not to land on it.
well, I mean, is it helpful to, let's say, take a nylon bag and put out a little stern anchor to hold the back of the boat out?
Yeah, I won't do
And
that.
just tie the front to something on shore to where the boat's floating?
No, because you got 8 feet of tide and
Well,
shallow.
that takes 3 hours for the tide to fully move.
Yeah, I've never
I'm
had.
talking about a nasty beach.
Yeah, and the good
We don't
thing
really
is,
have any.
the good thing is there are no nasty beaches. In
Well, you're gonna camp.
in the inside passage thing, yeah, we had some that were nastier than others. But where we're planning to go in the San Juans, and most
Most of it's
I
marine water.
cannot think of a single beach in the San Juans that's not a fairly nice beach.
how cold are the evenings or the nights? Which we would compare for?
In the summer, it wasn't very cold. Unless it rained a lot, and then if you felt damp, it was so cold.
So I would plan to be comfortable at 35 degrees at night. It's not hardly ever going to get that cold. But that's why I have a 20-degree sleeping bag with an insert, and I have enough layers that if it is that cold, some cold front comes in, then I'm going to be able to do that. Probably you'd have one night like that.
I would bring a fleece jacket and a rain jacket and a hat.
Are mosquitoes a problem?
Mosquitoes are for me because they love me. So I'll bring both bug spray and I'll bring some anti-itch because I know I'm always going to get bitten. And if we get to a place that seems to be really infested with mosquitoes, my dry suit stays on a long, long time. You know, I mean, I'll get the entire tent or the entire camp set up, and usually by later in the afternoon, the wind will come up and kind of blow them off the beach. But yeah, I hate mosquitoes, and yeah, they're out there. But it,
More mosquitoes in the inside passage than we do in the San Juans usually.
yeah, but there are on Clark Island there were mosquitoes.
Yes, there were.
So that wasn't right. Yeah. So they're out. So any other questions?
Good presentation.
Yeah,
Really
thank
is a
you
fun
very much.
trip.
The water, do you put anything underneath your feet for your feet to rest on? Does the water come up and penetrate and make it cold?
No,
No.
I've never.
No different than what we're used to?
No, because the water temperature is here. It's about 53. There it might be like 51.
Oh, for some reason I thought someone said it was 40.
No, not during
Okay.
the summer. Yeah, and in some places, in some of the coves, it might be
Actually, people swim.
significantly warmer. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Because it's not very. The water isn't very deep, so it'll warm up in some of the coves.
Do you bring extra paddles in the front of your
Yes.
coat? Okay.
Yeah.
All the regular gear that you would bring, like doing a San Francisco Bay trip, your
Still have that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
paddle
so we're-
float, your,
Yeah, tow belt.
all that.
You know.
You
all
don't
the-
bring
We know
helmets.
how to use it.
No, we don't need helmets. We're not paddling tight ribs, and there's no surfing.
No kings.
So that's a nice thing there.
So in terms of animals, just raccoons?
Raccoons are the pain in the neck, yeah.
There are no snakes, no bears.
So you can't just leave the
Good, that's good.
food in the hatch and camp strap it down?
No, they tear the
They'll tear it up.
And also my friend
They
that,
chew right.
You're better off just hanging it.
and my friend that's a backpacker said that the raccoons, you don't want their claws and their teeth into your food. That you don't want them to contaminate your food. It's
That's why the
very,
bear bag has a plastic liner that food goes in, and then the raccoons
They
can't even get.
can't penetrate that.
Yeah, they can't penetrate it.
And you got that at REI?
No, you get
I'll
the,
send out the website.
yeah, just look up bear bags, bear sacks.
Kevlar bear.
Bear canister do the same thing?
Well, they do, but where are you gonna put it?
Drop right in there and pack around it?
If you can.
They're too hard, they're too inflexible.
They don't hold
And
as much.
they don't-
right?
yeah.
You just stuff the food in the bags,
Yeah.
whereas the canisters don't.
Bear canisters are, yeah. I mean, I've got one. You're welcome to use it, but I wouldn't. I don't know why. I mean, I don't have it anymore. I won't use it anymore.
Oh, yeah. We don't even use it backpacking, we still use those.
Yeah.
They're so much
They're lighter.
better, yeah, lighter.
Well, and they compress down, so when you don't need it as much.
Yeah, you have to remember to be eating the food in there, so the bear bag is gonna get smaller and smaller. It'll be easier to pack your kayak.
How high do you have to hang these raccoon bags? Is that a big
Well,
deal?
so
He's not gonna get into it, but.
It's not height so much, it's, is there nothing else around it
And for them.
so that they can't, climb up to it and get to it?
So the park on Jones Island, they built it's a metal bar with 2 poles, and you just hang your bags on that.
Is that,
But there are trees, we just hung them for the tree.
Yeah.
Just make
I've
it
been
harder
through
for them.
that bear bag game so many times in the old days, and you spend so many hours trying to get.
No, I don't.
What do you do?
Well, with this, I don't care. I mean, I'll leave it tied to the picnic bench.
So it's okay just to anchor it, you mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
so they
care.
don't-
if
just so
it's
they don't
over
take
there.
I don't care
away.
if it's-
Yeah, you don't take
They
away.
can't get in it. And actually, I'd probably like to put it away from the tent a bit and tie it to something and just let them be absolutely frustrated all night long.
Okay, so you're cool.
So are they.
If anybody needs to buy a big ticket item, REI has a 20% off until the 13th for any single item.
If you're a member.
If you're a member.
Yeah, you know.
And if you're not, it's easy to become one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can become a member in 10 minutes.
I've already spent mine twice.
Me too.
And my dividend check.
Now, do you ever bring like a collapsible pole for possibly hiking, or, if you were gonna do some serious?
This inside passage, but I don't do San Juan, so
Okay.
there's really not.
And you don't really hike it.
So yeah.
But you could use it for tying up your tarp.
Yes, that's it. You could use a collapsible hiking pole as a tarp pole, but then when you've got it up, then you can't go hiking.
Yeah.
Kind of not very tall.
They're not very tall.
Yeah, they're not tall.
And they're bulkier than just getting a.
There are hiking trails on some of the islands, but they're pretty
Small.
They're just
They're hiking trails,
But she didn't talk to him.
So, let me get that straight. You just put your garbage bag in with your food bag at night?
What we'll start to do is we'll transition to one bag will be garbage and one will be food after a couple of days.
On a long trip, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a sealed plastic bag that I do put the garbage in, so that
Separate,
at first we
yeah.
combine them until
Yeah.
it gets small enough to.
We try not to have oily, smelly stuff. Yeah.
Is there, on San Juan, and I know we're getting that at another meeting, but is there anywhere to dispose trash, or
No.
we're carrying it all out?
Yep. Carry it out, carry it back.
One each, we're doing one each.
Yeah.
One raccoon bag each of the.
Yeah.
Because you have to pack food for the whole time. There's no
There's-
Costco or Safeway.
No, you,
And it's not like Folsom Lake, there's not the little
Yeah.
guy that comes around with snacks and.
the only thing is you're
No.
close to Deer Harbor from Jones, but the current has to be going the right way.
Pack for the whole time.
Yeah.
So technically, in the San Juans, there are places that you can go in and you can get food. But it's not what's planned. And
It's a distance.
realistically, you should be able to easily pack more than enough food comfortably for a week. So, and you should plan on packing 1 extra day's food, because you never know when you're gonna get fogged in, rained in, stormed in, whatever. So you're always, if you're going on a 5-day trip or a 6-day trip, you're always taking, 6 or 7 days worth of food.
Hey,
That's
what
a lot of
about
energy,
the wine?
you know.
Do the restaurants like the wine that's in my plastic, my ripple in the plastic thing?
Probably. I don't know.
So does that go in a restaurant?
I would, because if they bite
I
into
don't
it,
think
you're
Sean
done.
did last time, and I don't think they.
What
We
about
didn't-
your,
So we didn't have as much problem with raccoons the last time we went, but we had some friends who went about the same
No,
time.
they went a year earlier.
Oh, a year earlier, okay. So the raccoon problem is supposed to be better now than it was 2, 3, 4 years ago. But the island is notorious for horrible raccoons, so.
We stopped on Jones
And there's
Island.
really only, there are really only 2 islands that we've ever had any raccoon activity. But, one's halfway through the trip, so how far do you want to go?
and what about your toiletries, like toothpaste and things? Would they can smell that too?
They can smell that, you put that in your bear bag.
So that's got,
Bear bag too?
really?
It's not like a bear though.
It's not as bad as a
No,
bear.
I don't know,
Come to
sometimes
think
we
of it, I
keep that
kept them in the
stuff.
tent and they didn't bother that.
Okay.
I wouldn't leave them out alone,
Okay.
like if you were going on a hike or something, you could put them in your bear bag. But I don't think in the tent with you, it is a
not.
problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we were, on the way back from the inside passage, we stopped at James and Jones, 2 islands we're going to. And that year, the raccoons were really bad. We were tortured on Jones Island. Jeff got up in the middle of the night with his slingshot. And they were out there batting the bags, screeching at each other, and they sound like
I know
dogs
what this-
fighting.
that's
Really?
They sound horrible.
Yeah, that
They sound like
screech is
dogs
really
fighting.
loud.
And I couldn't even sleep. They kept on going and going. And we got up in the morning and our bear bags were muddy, but our food was fine.
Is Jeff a good shot?
Not good enough, I didn't terminate any of them.
And they're not scared of you, huh?
They go away and
Then
then
they
they
come right
come back
back.
and
Yeah.
they go away and they come back,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah, the minute you'd step back in the tent and
They'd
get
be
all
back.
snuggled, they were back.
yeah, I finally just said, I mean, I knew they weren't gonna get in anyway, and honestly, when we did that, I didn't make a big effort to put the bags, anywhere really safe. I mean, I could have walked 30 yards and hung them over this metal thing, but I really wanted to see what would happen. I mean,
Well, we had a day life.
yeah, we
It was just the two
were
of you.
almost
You were
home.
keeping
It was
everybody
no
else
big
away.
deal. So I wanted to see, what was gonna happen, and it got a good workout, and I'm,
You can sleep safely now, knowing they're not going to get into it.
yeah, I heartily endorse them. I'd use them anytime, anywhere.
Well, I'm gonna need coffee if I gotta listen to raccoons all night.
Yeah, well, and last time we were there, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I guess there were raccoons, but I slept through it.
Isn't there another angle where you bring it up here so you can sleep through it?
So we can get underwater.
Yeah.
Each 5 minutes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Lisa, your
Yeah.
boat pack's really nice.
I
Good
know.
for you.
I
Good
wonder,
choice.
Yeah.
Can you just leave everything?
Yeah, we just load it just like.
Well, he's got a picture of how to do it.
I want to see the raccoon bag. Is this the raccoon bag?
Well, they had a beer bag there.
This is a bear
Yeah.
bag, not a raccoon.
So the good thing is the other one's even cheaper.
That's a bear bag.
The other one, what's the other, you mean the rack?
The raccoon one is cheaper.
Mine goes light duty.
They don't cut the rope down?
Because if all you're worried about is varmints, then the mesh is a lot,
More pliable for you.
I'm not the right person.
it's that, but because the mesh is so tight, they can't get no teeth in between the, here, they actually, because we didn't use the plastic liner, they actually penetrated one of the bags. But if we had used the plastic liner with it, they wouldn't.
My purpose, I think I did.
And that's, we were doing, Vancouver Island was supposed to be more various per mile than anywhere else, so we wanted to do that, and then we used the raccoon bag for the track. And we never had any, and they said just tie it to the tree, don't make a thing of it. And if you go on their website, they show a bear mauling bag for like 20 minutes.
Well, I brought one, I just found one, I said